Yeah, really nice of you to join me again for another episode. It was a pleasure having you on the first time. And today we're going to talk about Ghost. Has really become one of my favorite bands in recent years. Um, I guess I'll start off with how I discovered Ghost, and maybe you can tell your story too. So 2 years ago, in the beginning of 2023, so in January, I was just scrolling on Tidal. It's like a streaming service instead of Spotify and Cobus and all these different. So I was just scrolling on Tidal and felt like, yeah, today I'm gonna listen to Def Leppard. Why not? It's like my second or third favorite band of all time. So I went into the profile or whatever you call it, and then I went down to EPs and singles, and then I saw Spillways, and I saw this triangle, the Def Leppard's typical triangle logo, and then I saw Ghost right in the middle. I thought, what is this? I've heard of Ghost before, but I've never heard like a second of their music at all. So I was really curious. So I listened to the song, and the first actual Ghost song was Spillways with Joe Elliott, because there were two songs on that single. There were both the Joe Elliott version and the regular Impera. At least on the digital, there were two songs.
Exactly.
So I actually heard the Joe Elliott version first, and I just fell in love with it. I thought Joe sounded like he has done in these recent years. He sounds all right. And then I heard his other voice. I thought, wow, this sounds really, really good. That can't be Joe Elliott. That has to be someone else. So I listened to it more, and I had it like on repeat like 10 times in a row. And I was just sold. So I went to like the Ghost page on Tidal to see what else they had. And immediately I recognized the cover for Prequel. I had seen that somewhere before on YouTube. And I thought, oh, it's this band. But I still had no idea what they sounded like, except for Spillways, obviously. So I went through the albums and looked where is Spillways, which album, and I discovered that it was their most recent at that time, Impera. So I started listening to the album, and I was sold. It was incredible. I loved that album, and yeah, that's basically my Ghost story. It yeah, probably very different to many other people, but yeah, that's it. What about you, Phil? What was your Ghost story?
Well, first of all, thanks again for hosting me again. I think it's going to be an interesting discussion, and I think right away with what you said, how Ghost came into your life is completely unique. I think there's no general rule when a band should be liked or when it should come to you. I think it's great to see how many people discover a band like this. My first reaction would have been, after hearing your story, you're from Sweden, how could you have not heard of Ghost? You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. But of course, people are in different musical moods.
Yeah.
They're listening to different things. They're not maybe always with their senses and radars operating, ready to catch new waves of bands. In my case, it was 2010, which was my first contact with Ghost. A very good friend of mine had recommended me the first album, Opus Eponymous. This is a time where I was still buying digital music on iTunes.
Okay.
And I said, okay, what can I buy? You know, because there was no streaming platform. And I said, yeah, the song Ritual seems cool. And I bought Ritual. I loved the song. I loved the riff. And I said, okay, this is pretty interesting. And I can't remember if I listened to the whole album or if I paid for the whole album. I think I didn't. But nothing else kept my attraction. And then Ghost slipped under the radar for me. The only song that I had on my playlist was Ritual. When the other albums started coming out, I was completely ignoring them, even though this friend and others were saying, "Wow, you got to listen to Ghost," and it wasn't happening. So then, the moment that I actually sat down and said, "What is it about this band that so many people are talking about?" It was towards the end of 2016, if I'm not mistaken. I said, "Okay, you know what? Let's check out what they have in store." And I think the first album that I listened to was Meliora, and it was just like, wow, this is pretty good. As soon as the album went on to Cerise, I could not believe what I was listening to, and I was like, okay, I'm sold. And then back to them, and probably when Square Hammer came out, and then I was just, okay, this is magnificent. So those would be, I would say, 2010, 16, and 17, and then there's been no turning back.
Wow. It's fascinating that you say it was such a huge gap from like 2010 when
Yeah.
you first discovered them to like 2016 when you like delved deeper into their catalog. That's really fascinating. That both Infestissumam and If You Have Ghost, the EP, and Meliora, and even Popstar, right? When was released before you continued to listen to them regularly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah.
that's
I
pretty
mean,
fascinating.
the first album that I bought must have been the Meliora Deluxe box set. That must have
Oh,
been the first one that I bought.
cool.
And I still found it very expensive when I bought it.
Now it's even
But
more expensive.
now it's ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah, that box set is really incredible. I have had it actually, but I sold it a while ago because it wasn't complete. It didn't have the Zenith single, like the
Oh,
main
okay.
part of that box set
Yeah.
was missing. But I got it really really cheap, and I had it for a while, you
Okay.
know. But I really wanted that single, and who really sells that separately? Maybe there are some people on eBay, but I didn't want to pay that price, and most people like to keep it complete with the box. So
Yeah.
it's kind of difficult to puzzle it together. So I thought I sell it. Maybe in the future I get it again, but it will be like 10 times more expensive.
That's true. I mean, I think I've only seen the single once
Yeah,
for sale,
yeah.
and it did not go for a ridiculous amount.
Oh,
I would say maybe something between 90 and 100 euros,
yeah.
which
Which is
people external to us collectors would say that's ridiculous, but
yeah.
if you're a collector, you know that's an okay fair price. Yeah.
Actually, for that single, it's kind of a steal, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
True.
So yeah, that's cool. So I guess we start off with the albums. There's six
Hmm.
albums to talk about. I think we're just gonna stick to those because
Yeah.
including all the EPs and even 7 inches of Satanic Panic be a very long video. Maybe for another
True.
time, but for now, these six albums. So I'm gonna hand it over to you, and you can start off with your two favorites on Opus Eponymous.
All right. I think this will be the easiest album for me. I have it here. Um, Two favorites. Immediately, I would say Ritual. I mean, it was the first song contact with the band. Um, I still love the raw edge that riff has. It has a very retro metal sound. Reminded me a lot of, yeah, I mean, the classic comparison of Merciful Fate, Blue Oyster Cult. But it's just such a, yeah, it's a catchy, haunting song, and I absolutely love it. I was quite in shock that in a couple of the current tour in the US, they weren't playing it.
Yeah.
It was like, wow, how can you take this classic away from the fans? But
Yeah.
of course, they replaced it with other songs. But it will always be a song that I absolutely love. There, and also I felt that the time when they played the song during the Meliora tours, the sound of that song live was also amazing. I have not seen Ghost replicate that sound anymore, probably because of the size of the venues, how they've upgraded the quality of the sound. But that sound, that riff made it sound so good. There's a version of it that was actually in Stockholm in 2015. This was a radio recording, so it sounds very good. If you can get your hands on
It's
the
probably
bootleg, what you've heard.
the bootleg recording from Annexet, it's called.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
I
the
know
one.
what you're talking about. You probably have
Yeah,
that bootleg, right?
I have it as well.
Yeah, on
Yes.
vinyl. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
I feel that version is so good, and I just love how Papa 3 starts it off and says like, "Help a nameless ghoul out," you know, and they all start cheering. So the fact that it was so good in the studio and that for 5 years, 6 years, maybe it maintained that raw sound makes it still a song that I will always treasure. Number two, I would have to say right away after Ritual is Elizabeth. I absolutely love it. The high pitched vocals make it sound also very retro, very amateur. Um, More of an underground band. It's haunting lyrics, very satanic if one wants to say it. But it's just amazing. The riff, the solo, I absolutely love the story behind it. So those two will always be my favorite songs of Opus.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like Elizabeth. It's not one of my picks, but I really love how evil the lyrics are, and I even think Tobias' vocals contributes to that evil sound,
Yes.
because you don't have to be like a growly vocalist to sound really evil and put the message across. I think it's perfect. I think it's a
Yeah.
it's a Ghost classic, no doubt about that. But I really like that they played it live recently.
Uh,
Yeah, that
I mean, great that they played it live in the US, not in Europe, but yeah,
yeah,
it's great
yeah,
that
yeah,
they brought it back.
yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen them live ever, but I've heard that people say
Okay.
that they played it live, and that's really cool. I even saw today on Cool Bangers Ball they play "Stand by Him," which is a
Yeah.
really cool track too. So it's nice to see that Opus is more represented. Even Satan Prayer they played, so
Yeah.
that's really cool. But yeah, so my first pick from this really amazing album, and I didn't think that first when I got into Ghost. I thought this was the worst album, but now I really love it. But it has really grown on me. But yeah, my first pick is Conclave con Dio.
Okay.
Yeah, I just love that beginning with the bass, and then when the keyboards, when these really screeching keyboards, and the guitar comes in, and the drums, just so intense. And it's cool to
True.
see, like the live shows I've seen on YouTube, and even in right here, right now, with all the lights and everything, and it's like super dark and this red lights and all that. It's really cool live. But yeah, amazing track. Um, that was one of the tracks when I first heard the album that actually clicked with me like directly.
Mm.
That and Ritual were two tracks that just worked for me immediately. So yeah, Conclave con Dio, amazing track. I have like nothing else to say about it. I think it's just chef's kiss.
Yeah.
So the second track is actually Ritual. Um, like it couldn't be anything else. Ritual is an all-time Ghost classic, and it's really amazing live. I love it during the Papa Free era, as you said, on Ceremony and Devotion. Really good live, and yeah, I love the solo at the end. I love that melody that
Yes.
at the end. It just repeats, and it's really catchy melody. and the lyrics are kind of creepy and cool, and I think Tobias' range on that song is really, really good. It's very impressive.
True.
And yeah, some people would say that his singing on this album is kind of weak. I don't agree with that at all. I think he sounds really good. You can tell that he wasn't supposed to be the singer in this band originally. But I think he does a great job. Many people give Tobias crap for his voice. I think he's a competent singer. He's not the greatest of all time. He doesn't like blow my mind, but he's very competent, and I think he sounds really good. And I also think he has very much developed his voice now that he has the half mask. I think he sounds really incredible. So
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think his voice there on the album is quite unpolished, which
yeah,
is not a bad thing. I agree with you. I've never rated him as one of my favorite singers, but you can tell there's been a very positive evolution towards where he is now.
yeah,
Not only as a singer, but also as a frontman.
yeah,
And I think he has been able to project his voice much better with since I would say the Cardinal Copia era until now, which would have been impossible as Papa Emeritus the First, you know. But I think he's done well. I know he's taken lessons and everything, and it's enough. I mean, he's won the respect I think of many people as a vocalist and as a frontman. But I agree with you that his singing on this album is what was needed.
yeah. Yeah. And you mentioned the raw sound of his vocals. I like the raw sound of the whole entire album. Like I love the
Yeah.
production. I like how simple it is. I think if I'm not wrong, you have been a fan longer than me and you probably know much more, but I think it's like Tobias and like one or two more people. Maybe there was a drummer, right? He's not drumming on this. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, I mean he's it's his his classic session drummer.
Yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce the last name properly, but his first name is Ludwig.
I could probably
So Ludwig
pronounce it,
has
but I don't know.
you could probably
I
pronounce
don't
it,
know his last name.
and I feel bad because I follow him on Instagram and everything, but he drummed until, if I'm not mistaken, until Meliora.
Yeah.
So he's been the session drummer there. I think some tracks were composed with another ghoul who was only during the Opus era,
Okay.
and that's about it. So mostly this has been an effort from him.
Mhm. Yeah.
So yeah, that's how deep my knowledge is on the recording.
Yeah. I know he plays the guitars and I know he plays bass
Yeah,
and he sings, but I think maybe he even play the keyboards. Maybe
could
I
be.
don't know.
Yeah, but the drums is not him.
Yeah. The drums is a
Yeah.
different person. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, so really, really great album. Simple production, but I kind of prefer it, honestly, to like the later. Not Impera. Impera has an amazing production. I think Prequel, amazing polished production.
Yeah.
But I think Infestissumam is kind of the weak link in the discography when it comes to production.
Yes.
You could say Opus is the weakest link, but I like it. I like that sound. But for most people,
Yeah.
I think they would say Opus is like the weakest sounding album in terms of production, obviously. But I like it straightforward. No bells and whistles. So yeah. What's
Yeah.
your least favorite track?
So if I have to pick one, it's probably going to be Prime Mover.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, when I started getting back into Ghost and really digging deep into the discography, and I analyzed this album, I was very motivated to see a track called Prime Mover,
Mm.
because it reminded me of my studies in philosophy, that Aristotle would always say that there was a prime mover that set everything into motion. I said, okay, this might be a very philosophical, deep song. And when I just heard the music, I found it a bit, maybe the word is too harsh, but a bit lame on the chorus, a bit weak. It would like fade down a bit the energy of the album. So I've never felt it like with the warmth and power of the other songs. Um, it is a song that I would from time to time skip, um, and I have not. I would say I have never enjoyed the song. You know, there's some songs that you say, okay, I like it from time to time, and then I don't like it that much. But this one has never been a favorite. So yeah, that's the one.
Okay. When I first heard the album, I thought the intro to Primeval was kind of annoying, to be honest. Like that guitar goes on for way too long. I thought when I first heard it. Now I kind of accept it. You know, it's no problem. But yeah, the chorus I think is fine. I like the verses. You know, when he kind of has this like whispery voice, not really whispery, but you know, kind of quiet voice. I like that part, and I also like the part where it's actually whispering, where it's like Satanas, Antichrist, and all
Yeah.
that part. I think that's really cool. But yeah, it's an alright track. I think it's kind of mediocre, but I wouldn't say it's the worst track on the album. So my pick would actually be Satan Prayer.
Okay.
I think actually this chorus is kind of lame for me, to be honest. And I think it's a bit too light. You know, the verses are kind of dark, and I like the riff, and it's kind of yeah, it's really dark and heavy. And then we come to the chorus, and it's really light. It's kind of a contrast, and nothing wrong with that, but I didn't like it. Yeah, Satan Prayer,
Creed, yeah.
Anti-Nicene Creed. I think that's not really a sing-along chorus, to be honest, because most people get the words wrong. And you could hear it on the Go Bangers Ball while Vanessa was talking. In the background, they played the live version from a recent show, and he like said the words. He didn't sing the words. He like said the words very slowly, very like clear. Here are Satan prayer. Like it sounded really silly. So I guess he wanted people to learn the song or something. I don't know, but yeah,
Yeah.
I don't
I
think
agree.
it's really catchy at
It's
all.
also one of my least favorites. I would say those two. I was
Yeah,
in between Prime Mover, Satan Prayer. The times I've heard it and seen it live, I also feel that it drops down a bit the energy and the commotion, because it's not. He wants to. I think he wants to make it a sing along, but it really doesn't work.
no,
Um, and I don't know how much the new generation of fans really like this album and their songs. So I don't. Ritual, of course, is different because it has more of a catchy rhythm. But this one is a bit more also less strong. It lacks a punch,
yeah,
and I think that's why it's also not the best of the album.
yeah. That's the best word to describe it. It lacks punch. There's no punch in
Yeah.
this song. So so yeah, that's my least favorite. What's your honorable mention for this album?
Well, that's a difficult one because there's two songs, but if you put me against the wall and I have to choose, then it would be Death Knell. I absolutely love it from the beginning. I love the bell chiming, the play of words in the lyrics. I find it amazing in the chorus. It's haunting. It's dark. It's a song I've never gotten tired of. I've seen many discussions on the album, and people highlight it as a weak song, as a song that they don't like. But I think it's one of my favorite play of words from Tobias since the beginning that he's done this. Yeah, I just love simple sounds of it that make it so great as well. So definitely that. I'm leaving aside Genesis, which I absolutely love, but this would be my honorable mention. Yeah.
So both Genesis and Death Nail would have been your two honorable mention if you choose
Yes.
two. Those are
Yeah.
mine too.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but I'm gonna stick to Genesis actually for
Okay.
my only one. I can speak to Death Knell too. I think Death Knell is a really cool track. I like the part when he really goes down and he whispers the chimes and all that, and you hear like chimes in the background. I think it's really creepy. It adds to the atmosphere. I think the chorus is excellent. Guitar work, really cool. I think Death Knell is kind of an underrated track, to be honest. I
Yeah,
really
definitely.
love it. That would really be the most underrated track on the album, I feel. But yeah, Genesis is my pick, and I just love it. I love like I think it's a keyboard in the beginning. Really
Mhm.
cool keyboard pattern in the beginning, and then it goes into the guitar, and it just boom, when the guitar first enters, it just builds a very epic feel, and yeah, I think it's really cool. And then obviously the main guitar riff during the rest of the song is really catchy too. I love
Yeah.
it. It was that Genesis, Ritual, and Conclave Con Dio. Those were the three first tracks that really caught my attention. So yeah, I love it. I think it's probably one of the best instrumentals Ghost ever did. It's not
Yeah.
number one, but it's really high up on that list.
True.
Probably top 2 or 3. Really incredible. And I think Miasma just, yeah, I think it's the best instrumental they ever did. Miasma, I think it's really cool. But more on that later. But yeah, Genesis, 2 thumbs up. Really cool.
Actually, the I wouldn't say magical, but the unique thing for me of this album is that it's the only album that I can picture in my mind, my imagination. Not even, I know this didn't happen, but this is the only album that I can actually believe that Papa Emeritus One was singing this. You know, I think the album, the rawness, the
Yeah.
image fits so perfectly with the music, and I do not get that feeling with the rest of the discography. This is the only album that I think that it's a Papa singing, where it's actually Tobias, but that's the impression it gives me.
I totally agree with you. I can't really see Papa One singing songs like Idolatry and all these other. If he stuck around and it was still Papa One in the Infestissumam era, I couldn't see him singing, even though it's the same person. But I couldn't see
Of
that
course, yeah,
character singing like a song like that.
yeah,
Yeah. So I totally agree, and I think it was good that Papa One was just around during the Opus era,
yeah,
because I think the commercial appeal wouldn't be there if it continued being this super dark imagery and all that. I think it was really good that they changed to this more commercially friendly approach during like the pre-Kel era and all that. That was probably better for the band commercially, but I would have liked to see more heavy music. Obviously, I love Opus. I really like Infestissumam too. I think those 2 albums are the 2 darkest Ghost albums, and I think they kind of lost that dark touch when they then released Meliora and the rest of
yeah.
the albums. But still, I think Meliora onwards is still my favorite era.
Yeah.
Not Meliora, but everything after, including Meliora, I think is the best Ghost albums. But I still miss this like dark approach they had in the early years. from
Sure.
like 2010 to 14 or whatever. So yeah. So that was Opus Eponymous. Really, really cool album that has very much grown on me. Now, this is also a really cool album, Infestissumam. I have this crappy BC version with the parental advisory in the corner and all that. I would have really liked to have a Scandinavian version of this with this super cool artwork, yeah, on the inside. Is that the first pressing on clear vinyl?
That is the one with Killer Rhino that came with the
Yeah,
CD, but it's
yeah,
signed as well. Yeah,
that's really cool. Really cool. So, yeah, I'm gonna let you start off with your two favorite tracks on Infestissumam.
all right. We've said it. This is also my least favorite. So this is going to be fast. So my easiest one, my favorite one, sorry, is Year Zero. I think there's a huge evolution, although we agree that it's not the best produced and maybe mixed album in terms of sound, but Year Zero presents a huge step in craftsmanship of music and talent.
Yeah,
And adding so many layers to the music, where Opus was much more of a raw, in your face album, you like it or not. This is an album, even though it's not my favorite, it invites the listener to dig a bit deeper. And yes, there is a possibility that songs can be liked when at the first listen they weren't. But Year Zero, immediately with the opening choruses in Latin, are just phenomenal.
yeah,
I love it in the studio. I love it live. It's growing so much live with the fire, the Red Sea, the images that they use now. It's amazing. I love the riff. I love the sound of the bass, the drumming. I think it's a very great song that can probably define who Ghost was at that moment.
yeah.
Um, so it's an all-time favorite. I really love the song. I enjoy it live. It's a true spectacle, and yeah, I'd say that's the best song.
Yeah, yeah,
Of
I couldn't
course, from my
agree.
point of view.
I couldn't agree more with Year Zero being like the first track that really defined what Ghost is about. I
Yeah,
think Year Zero probably brought in many new fans of the band. I think it's probably the best track. It's not one of my picks, but I think it's just an amazing track. It's structured really well. I love everything about it, and yeah, the Latin at the beginning and all that. And that's really a sing along chorus. Talk about the sing along
yeah.
chorus. That's just incredible. So, yeah. What's your second favorite?
Here's where it gets difficult because it's an album, as I say, that has evolved a bit on me. That some songs I've liked at the beginning, then I didn't like. So I'm probably, if you would ask me next year or something like that, I'd probably change my number two. But I'm just gonna go with what I've liked in the past, and it's Monstrous Clock. Um, I find it a very interesting way to end the album. It's a very well crafted song. I love the vocals. Um, the keys on that is so great. It's just like a bit of a trippy, sexual, acid connotation. I find it very interesting. I love the chorus. Again, the play of words come together as one. Um, yeah, it's great closing song to an album that maybe is very diverse, very unstable, but it finishes off very well. I feel that it's also a great song to close a concert, but not to be the last song before the encore. Um, that's when I feel that there's a loss of energy a bit. And people say, yeah, of course, the band needs to calm down a bit. But I think it loses a bit of momentum. And it was way better when, for example, Ceremony and Devotion, the concert ended with this song.
Yeah.
Also, during part of the prequel tour, they ended on it as well. So I think it serves great the album. Once again, there's very good layers. I like the simpleness of the riff, and I think it belongs where it is. So yeah, that's right now my number 2 pick. I could have said, for example, Peraspera because I love the riff on that, but then it loses me a bit at some points the song. So I'll stick to Monstrance Clock.
Yeah. I think it's really poetic that the album starts with choir and it ends
Yeah.
also with a choir. I think that's really cool. That it starts with just the choir in Infestissumam, the track, which
Yes.
is one of the best like transitional intro tracks. That's just incredible. So much energy to start off the album. Yeah, probably the best intro on any Ghost album, to be honest.
I agree.
Really, really love it. And I think it's cool that it starts with that, and then at the end of Monstrance Clock, you also end with it. So if you would like repeat the album over, it will end with it and also start with it, which is really
Yes.
cool. I feel. So yeah, really cool track, and yeah, my 2 picks would probably be. My first one would probably be Per Aspera ad Inferi. I think it's really, really cool track. And it transitions so seamlessly from Infestissumam to this track. And it just starts off with that riff and the drums and everything. I love, like, it's still Ludwig on the drums, right?
Yes.
I love his attack on the drums, like when the riff goes along with the drums in the beginning. I think it's really cool. And Tobias' voice, really nice. I think it's a good track to introduce the new singer. So yeah, I think it's a very, very good first proper track. Um, because the other one is just an intro, and yeah, really, really solid. And I like the live version on Ceremony and Devotion, where he like kind of not screams, but he has more energy in the chorus, which is really cool. In this, it's the energy is not quite there, but man, I still love this track so much, and that doesn't really bring it down for me. So
True.
just because another version is super amazing doesn't mean that this is not good. So yeah,
Exactly.
that's my first pick. And my second pick is Goulet Zombie Queen. I think this track probably, if I had to do a top 10 Ghost songs, would probably rank in the top 5. Like, I love it that much. I think the Goulet part, which is like almost 3 minutes long, I think it's such a beautiful, slow start to this incredible song. I love Tobias' vocals. I don't feel like he ever sounded like this again, like he does in the Goulet, the beginning part of the song. Very like sensitive, very vulnerable almost sounding. Even though he sings kind of evil lyrics, it sounds very vulnerable, and I just love it so much. And the keyboards and everything just creates a very cool, almost calming atmosphere. And then it's really unsettling when the guitar comes in and their energy starts, and it starts with Zombie Queen. Zombie Queen, I think, is a really, really catchy chorus, and yeah, I love the part where it goes like da 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 da. Very bad impression of me, but yeah, I love that part. and I always like headbangs to that part. I think it's just so energetic and so cool. And then it goes down in energy. You hear this choir singing Zombie Queen, and then it goes up in energy again, and Tobias is back with his vocals. And yeah, the ending part with that melody, where it's like the Zombie Queen melody at the end. Really cool with the keyboards and all that. So I think this track really utilizes the keyboards very well. I think it's not too much at all. I think it's complements the track very, very well. So yeah, so that's my second pick for this
Good
album.
pick. Good pick.
So what's your least favorite on Infestissumam?
I'll probably get hate for this, but Secular Haze. Yeah, it's I've given it chances. When I go back to this album, I have the two versions on vinyl. I also play them, and I've said, okay, let's give this a chance. Love the artwork for the single, everything, but the song and the music just doesn't speak to me. To me, and all these things are very personal. You know, there's nothing universal in tastes, but to me, it represents what the majority of the songs also shine a bit of, is a bit of a satanic circus.
Literally.
And it has a bit of, yeah, and it has a bit of this, what I would say as well, an intended metal waltz idea transition that I'm also not a big fan of. The pre-chorus also doesn't speak to me. I don't know. There's just something that lacks. It's just too for me. That's the way I would put it. I think the drumming is very good. Drumming is very good, but the overall song just does not speak to me.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say it's one of the stronger tracks in their discography, but it's way better than anything on Skeleton, in my opinion. We'll come to that later, but yeah. I like that it's kind of unique with this like carnival circus melody with the keyboards in the beginning. I kind of like it. I think it kind of has a swirly effect. The whole
Yes.
like not that part, but the whole entire track and the sound of it kind of has this swirly effect, like kind of being on a carnival circus ride or something like that, you know. So
Yeah.
I've always felt that way. I think it's really unique sounding. I think I really like the chorus where it goes like secular haze, and you hear this. I like that part. He did that a lot in this era, where he would like do these not growls, but he would do these like whisper parts, and then
Yes.
in the beginning of Monstrous Clock, he does this. I'm not even gonna try to replicate it, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
He kind of stopped doing that. He does it sometimes nowadays, but on some songs here and there. But I felt like he did a lot back then, especially on this album. But yeah, I like Secular Haze. It's a cool track. It's not one of my favorites, but not a least favorite either.
Okay.
It's mid. Let's just say that it's mid.
Okay. Yeah.
So, but my pick for this album would probably be, it's between two tracks for me. It's either Idolatrine or Depth of Satan's Eyes. It's really hard for me to pick between those two because I think they're kind of equal in quality, to be honest. But I have to say Idolatrine, I guess.
Okay.
Tomorrow I'll probably say Death of Satan's Eyes, but today it's Idolatry. I don't like the Tobias voice on this track. This is one of very few songs where I don't like his voice. I don't like the part where he goes "suffer little children" and all that. I think it kind of sounds childish, which is kind of probably the intention because of what he's
Sure.
singing. But I don't think it kind of works. And I think his voice in the verses is okay. It's mid. It's all right, but that part of the song, and it really, I think it's kind of repetitive also. Death of Satan's Eyes is very repetitive. It's way more than this one.
Yes.
Which is probably why I don't like that track either. And I think Death of Satan's Eyes also has a very weak chorus.
Agree.
But yeah, I think this track is probably the worst. So I would pick Idolatry actually. So yeah. What are your thoughts on both these tracks?
I would also in my least favorite ranking. From time to time, I do like a bit of Satan's Eyes, but it's not something that I regularly go back to. Idolatrin, I can't remember the last time I heard it. I think it's great that after these two songs, Monstrous Clock comes in.
Yeah.
Because it brings back a bit of depth to the album that probably wasn't in these two songs.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're not my favorite. Absolutely not.
And something that really brings down this album for me is that on side 2, I always speak in sides because I'm a vinyl collector.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
probably do too. On the second side of this album, it starts with Year Zero, which is like
Yes.
one of the best tracks to open a side, I think, in the Ghost's catalog. But then we go to Body and Blood, which I also feel is kind of a weak track. I don't know what you feel about it. It's also
weak, but it's not that bad. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not as bad
Yeah.
as Idolatry or Death of Satan's Eyes, but it's very close for me on that scale. So there's like 3 tracks for me at least that are very weak, and they come after one another.
Yes.
Which makes side 2 very weak for me. It's Year Zero and Monstrous Clock. So the opening of the side and the end of the side are the 2 really good songs for me.
Yes.
But the remainder of the songs, I don't know. I don't like them that much. But yeah, Body and Blood, it's a catchy song. No doubt about that.
Yeah.
It's very, very catchy. It's probably the most catchy song on the first 2 albums, I feel.
Yeah.
And I like it on Ceremony and Devotion. I think it's way better there. And yeah, so those 3 tracks would be the weakest, but Idolatry takes the cake for me. Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah. So what's your honorable mention on Infestissumam?
Well, I would go for Goulet Zombie Queen. I think you pointed out most of the things that I'd like. So I'm going to stick with it because I was also thinking of Gigolo Harmejido. But I think it has a very strong chorus that I really like. It's very catchy. But I fell more in love with the acoustic version that they did during the prequel tour.
It's
Yeah,
good, yeah.
It's very good.
Yeah.
So I'll stick with Goulet Zombie Queen. I do tend to like more Goulet more.
Yeah.
Because as you well described, that very low tone that's quite spooky, creepy. It transports me immediately into what would be a type of like horror movie or series that I would always be thinking that something is lurking around me.
Yeah.
I think he does a very good job on the storytelling there with his voice. And then it rips into also a very catchy part, which is Zombie Queen, a bit more fast. And I think these this song, Secular Haze, remind me more a bit of his time in Subvision, where he had more of this sound that sounded actually a bit more Brit poppy, and I think Zombie Queen does capture a bit of that essence as well, which is not bad. But yeah, I think it's a very standout track that deserves the position of an honorable mention. So yeah, I can't add more of what you said because I think that was spot on as well. So I
Yeah,
agree with you on your analysis. Yeah.
yeah, cool. I think my honorable mention would. I think Year Zero is too obvious to choose because it's
Okay.
just so incredible. So I'm actually gonna choose Gigolo or Megiddo.
Okay.
Really like that track. I agree with you. The acoustic version they did during the Papa Free era, just incredible. Also, Gula Zombie Queen with the kazoo is also super funny. But
True.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's really cool too. Became kind of a meme, But yeah, I think Gigolo is really good, both acoustic and on the album. I would have liked to see them play it more live because I think it's a really really solid track. This is one of the few tracks on this album that really sound happy. Like it's this the Idolatrine, Body and Blood. So there's like three tracks that sound kind of happy, I guess.
True.
But
True.
yeah, I love the vocal melodies, and I think just it's a very very solid track. So
Yeah.
yeah, that would be my honorable mention. Really like that track.
Nice.
It's kind of different, and I think it's a good break on the album from Secular Haze, and it
True.
transitions well into Goulet Zombie Queen. I feel
Yeah.
so it kind of goes down in energy, and yeah, really like it. So that's cool. So that was Infestissumam. Really, really nice album. Even though it's my second least favorite, it's still a great album. I feel there's
Sure.
only one kind of weak or very weak Ghost album, and we'll get to it later. But yeah, this is definitely my second least favorite. So yeah. So now we get to probably the start of the golden era for me, and
Yeah.
it's Meliora. Really incredible album. Um, probably, I think this album is the start of really, really great drumming. I feel like. I think on both Opus and Infestissumam, I feel like the drums um, kind of melt into the background and they don't stick out that much, for me at least, to my ears. But I feel on this album, just immediately on Spirit and then Pinnacle to the Pit and all, I feel the drums, I pay attention to them more and I hear them in more detail. Maybe
Yeah.
the production, or maybe it's Ludwig's playing that developed through playing on the two previous albums. I don't know, but I think he sounds really good on this album. And then you said it was a different drummer moving forward, right? On the other
Yes.
albums, I still feel the future albums have really, really strong drumming. So I would,
I mean, he's not in Impera or Skeleton, so he made it up until Prequel.
yeah, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Because I feel actually that Meliora and Prequel are the two strongest albums when it comes to drums. So that makes
Hmm.
sense. It's the same person. Yeah. So and also this is probably the first album where Ghost became. I don't want to say commercial. There are so many heavy tracks on this album, but I think the sound, the production, everything became more polished. Their live shows also live production. They had more money, obviously, so you can spend more on the stage show. So I think this is a really huge stepping stone in the right direction for Ghost. So I feel this is the first true like whole musical piece for Ghost. I think it's a solid album all the way through. There's one track I will mention later that I don't really like that much, but I think this is the first really, really solid album. So yeah. What's your two favorites on Meliora?
So this was all-time favorite. So it's an album that I've listened to a lot in different versions, and I feel that it's very close to me. It's an album that not only invites me to listen, but also to look at the artwork that is included. I think
Yeah.
it plays perfectly. Um, the first pick is very obvious. It's Cerise. I still remember how it got to me when I heard it. The beginning with just the simple parts of the drums, the riff, the bass. I felt it very Black Sabbath-ish, and then just so heavy, but at the same time so soothing. His vocals, especially when it breaks into the parts where it's just him and the keys,
Yeah, the kind of breakdown
and
of the song. Yeah,
when it breaks down and it just says, I can feel the thunder. It's just those words spoke to me at a moment in life where I needed to hear those lyrics, or that he could see through the scars. That was just like, wow. That's when many people feel that music speaks particularly to them. The solo is great on the guitar, on the keyboards. His vocals when he raises it also as well. It is an immortal song in their catalog. Um, it's great live. I think the only thing that ruined the song live, and I'll probably get a bit of actually two things. I'll probably get a bit of hate. I feel great that prequel tour he was using this like cape, which made it great. Um, and then during the Imperator, he had the wings, which were amazing. But he would joke around. He would like walk down from the stage and then like push the ghoul away. So it had a bit of humor in it, being that it's such a dark and emotional song, and,
yeah,
and it's also telling you that you're okay the way you are because when he says, "I know your soul is not tainted," is a very very direct attack against the Catholic Church that says that you need to be baptized, and erase original sins and stuff like that. So to have this humor on it, I don't like it. And then the worst part of this live is fans wanting to be Cerise,
series.
you
Yeah,
know? Um, there's a whole thing that I've seen people fight for to be in that spotlight. Of course, he does speak to a lot of people who have gone through so many emotional stuff in their life, and people want that to be them, to be spoken to them. But I feel that moment really happens when you're at home with your earphones or in your studio blasting it, and then you feel that he's really speaking to you.
yeah,
And when I had the possibility to do a meet and greet, I told him how I felt with this song, and that was way better than being pointed at, being Cerise, because I got a hug from him. He says that means a lot that my music speaks to you in that way, and I couldn't believe it. If I add that experience to the song, of course, this is one of my all-time favorite songs. Uh, but I just think it's beautifully composed, crafted, executed. The video is so fucking amazing.
the video is super cool.
At
Yeah,
the school, and seeing the kid also play Papa is really cool. and having the other girl play a bit of Stephen King's Carrie, I loved it. But yeah, it's great from the beginning to the end. It's a song that I'll always sing at the top of my lungs, so it gets my favorite on this.
Well, there's a
Yeah,
reason they won a Grammy for it. Like,
of course.
yeah.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
see a lot of people think that Square Hammer was the song that won a Grammy, but it's not. It's actually Cerise. I
yeah,
think because of Square Hammer's like commercial appeal, I think most people probably assume that it's that track, but it's actually Cerise, which is incredible. I agree with you. The part when he goes when during the breakdown and he sings, "I can feel the thunder that's breaking in your heart." I think he never sounded better. He sings so beautifully in that part, and I like the contrast to the heaviness of the guitars
yeah,
and the verses. Um, I like how creepy it starts out. Yeah, I think it was deserving of the Grammy. Let's just say that.
yeah,
So I think it's an
definitely.
all-time Ghost classic. So on the first three albums, I would say Ritual, Year Zero, and Cerise are the three staples of those
Yes.
albums, and became classics for a reason.
Yeah.
So yeah, what's your second favorite?
Real easy as well. From the pinnacle to the pit. I love the beginning of it. The bass, the drum, the guitar is crunchy. In between, there's some great soloing. The lyrics are so strong. You will wear your independence like the crown. What a fucking statement that is. The drum feel and the beat there to get your fist up in the air. It was made for the arena as well.
Yeah.
Maybe at that moment when Meliora was released, it wasn't seen to go that big, but I feel that it's been kept in the set list, and when it's been played during the last tours, it has created a great atmosphere.
Mhm.
It's a great sounding song. I love his voice on it as well. It's a bit deeper. There's a bit more growls. Um, yeah, it's excellent. And I think this version. I mean, there's a version of the song that gains so much. You've probably seen it as well. The Deezer sessions.
Mhm.
The execution there with the ghouls is just spectacular. There is no quarter on the riffage on this song, and I think it's just an amazing song.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's easy. My second pick.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. I think it's kind of fun that Tobias like incorporates the bass a lot, and I think the bass sound on this album also, not just the drums, but the bass is also very very good. I think there's a lot of bottom end on this album
Yes.
compared to the two previous albums. So the production by Claes Åhlund was just it, it revolutionized the sound of Ghost. I feel like um,
Yeah.
from the very raw opus to the kind of not muddy, but the not so good production on Infestissumam, in my opinion, and then to Meliora, and all the albums after were just expertly produced. I feel like
Yeah.
just incredible sound quality. So yeah. Um, I think. Oh, I lost my thought. I talked about the bass. I like the bass in the beginning of From Pinnacle to the Pit, and I like how similar it is to Conclavi con Dio, and it's like kind of the same feel. It's not identical, but I like songs that really highlight the bass.
Mm.
So that's why I really like Black Sabbath, for instance. I think Geezer Butler is very much present in the mix on most Black Sabbath albums that he's on.
True.
Some albums, like Volume 4, not so much, but like the first 3 Black Sabbath albums, the bass is very present in the mix. You can hear it very well, and I love that. And I feel the same about Meliora and Prequel and Impera. So yeah, really like that about the production of these albums. So yeah. So now to my 2 favorites. My first one is actually Mummy Dust. I think Mummy Dust is probably one of the most heavy songs Ghost ever did. I think 2 of the most heavy songs they ever did are on this album, and it's Cerise and Mummy Dust.
Yes.
Cerise obviously goes up and down in tempo and energy, but Mummy Dust is just relentless. I love that about it. And obviously the guitar solo and all that. I like how different it is. How many rock bands really use a guitar or whatever you call it? I think it's awesome.
Nowadays, not many.
Yeah, I think it's just so cool. And it gives it kind of this 80s retro feel, which is really cool. And yeah, I love the riff and the chugging guitar. And the also the do 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 do. I love that part. I think it's just so cool. But I have to say, even though I love the studio version so much, the version on Ceremony and Devotion, where he actually kind of growls, is so cool. And it's same with Goulet Zombie Queen. In the Goulet part of the song, I feel like he never sounded like that again. And I feel the same with Mummy Dust, the live version of Mummy Dust. I don't think he sang like that on any other song in the Ghost catalog. And yeah, I think he sounds amazing on Ceremony and Devotion. And when I did the first ever podcast, the I'm Sorry What podcast, which you have been part of too, I did like kind of a album song ranking and all that. And I actually ranked Mummy Dust as my number 1 favorite Ghost song of all time.
Wow.
I've kind of changed my opinion a little bit. It has gone down like 1 or 2 steps, so it's still very much up there. But it's not number 1 right now. But I still love it so much, and I think it's easily the best track on Meliora. Now, it would have been a different story if a certain song was part of this album, which maybe we'll talk about later. But yeah. Sure. So, but my second favorite is Absolution.
Okay.
I actually like how catchy it is in the chorus. It's kind of dark in the verses and the pre-chorus.
Yes.
Especially the pre-chorus. When he goes like and sings Desires and all that, it's really cool. You will find her in the fire and all that. And then it goes into the chorus and it's like super happy and cheery. But yeah, I love how different it is during the different parts. And I actually, when I think about it, a lot of Ghost music is like very much different key changes and different tones during the songs. It's not one-dimensional like many other bands can be, where it sounds just consistent and it's like the same during the whole song. Many of those songs goes up and down very much, which I can appreciate. So yeah, Absolution. I love the piano and all that. So yeah, really cool track, and yeah, that's my second favorite.
Nice.
So we didn't pick any similar tracks on this album,
see.
which is fun, you know. would have been super boring if we just choose the same
Of course.
tracks. So I think it's very fun to have very different perspectives and favorites on these albums so far. So it's really cool. So
I think there's. Sorry, I don't wanted to add that there an Absolution. There's a part that I really like is it has like a, a huge bell representation sound, like clanging from side to side, with the riff and drumming and everything. That something is coming here to haunt you and catch you,
yeah,
and that's what I absolutely love about the song. But I do also feel that it's a song that gains much more, just like Mummy Dust, on Ceremony on Devotion, because there's
yeah,
this
I agree.
scream on it as well, that I missed in the studio. I said, "Oh, I wish he would have recorded that as well."
Yeah,
But it's still also I rank that song very highly as well. Yeah,
I think the version on Right Here, Right Now, the soundtrack is really, really good. I think
true.
Absolution is incredible on that. But I still kind of prefer Ceremony and Devotion overall, if we talk about
Me too.
those
Yeah,
two albums. I feel Ghost was a little more tighter in the actual sound of the live band during the earlier days, especially during the Papa Free period. Now it's just such a big production. There's so many band members on the stage, and there's these
true.
ghoulettes, female vocalists, and all that. So it's very many elements to it now. I liked it when it was more simple and
Yeah.
straightforward. So if I would probably say Ceremony and Devotion is the best official Ghost live set. I think it's really good. So yeah. Now, what's your least favorite on Meliora?
I don't think there's a bad track on this album, but I would definitely rate, and I'll explain why, Spirit as my least favorite. Yes. What do I love? The thing I love the most about this song is actually that it does start of how many people criticize Ghost and try to compare their music to. It has a Scooby Doo tune to it.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, it
yeah,
starts like that. I grew up on Scooby Doo, so I love it, and I find it like haunting, or it could be used. I don't know if in Sweden it was ever popular, but this cereal Count Chocula, it could be used even in a Count Chocula commercial,
yeah,
but it's still very haunting. The drumming is great. Only problem of the song, the only two problems, sorry, it doesn't progress. It's always stuck in first gear for me. And the Spirit chorus is just, it's lacking
yeah,
a bit more punch.
yeah,
That's my only criticism. The atmosphere that it has, the drumming is amazing. There's some peak as well at a moment, but then it just like gets stuck the whole time.
yeah,
So that's why it's my least favorite.
yeah. That definitely is not a track where it progresses and really changes a lot and goes up and down.
Yeah.
That's very just same during the whole track. So yeah, I agree with you, but I really like the ending part, his last vocal line on that,
Mm,
when he sings Spirit,
true.
and he really goes up. I think he sounds really good, really amazing on that. And I think the ending guitars are really, really solid. I like the melody. Yeah, I could see that the chorus is kind of weak, and it kind of sounds. It kind of reminds me of "Death of Satan's Eyes," where it's kind of this
Yeah.
very weak chorus. It doesn't really go anywhere, and yeah, it's kind of repetitive to be honest. So it's not one of my favorites. I probably liked it more 6 months ago, but now it kind of has gone down for me. So yeah, I agree.
Okay.
But my actual least favorite is Majesty.
Okay.
Yeah, that's probably one of the easier picks for me on all these albums. And I feel the exact same way as I did with Spirit. I don't feel it goes anywhere really. And I
Mm,
think that chorus is also kind of lame. to be honest. Old One Master and all that. Yeah, I don't feel it's catchy. Every song doesn't need to be super catchy, but
True.
I don't really like it. And I also don't like the verses, a higher power underground, that part. I feel his voice sounds kind of weak, and it has always been my least favorite on Meliora, and probably will always be. So I think it's very, very mediocre, Majesty. So,
Wow. I find it has a great beat. I love the beat that it has.
yeah, I can agree with that. I think the
Yeah.
bars are really heavy and it has a nice beat, but it stays in that for too long. I
True.
feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right.
So that would be my least favorite. So honorable mention that is not Zenith. We'll talk about it later,
Yeah.
but
Sadly.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I still love it. I think it's a track that should be more out there. So it is Dois in Absenta. I think it has a very similar closing effect as Monsters Clock with great
yeah, yeah,
Latin choruses. I love the phrase "the world is on fire."
yeah,
I think it's a very dramatic ending to a very good album. Knowing that Meliora is more of a like futuristic album, you know,
yeah,
and it leaves you okay. What is coming now? God is missing. He's gone. What is going to happen to this godless world? So I think in that sense, it has musically and lyrically a very deep meaning for me.
yeah,
Uh, I was lucky to see the song live once, and I absolutely loved it and didn't expect it. I think it should be brought back
yeah.
because it has a great power to wrap everything up and leave the fans in a state of awe. So I think it is a very gem, even though it's the last track. I absolutely love how well composed and executed it is. So I'll go with that one.
The biggest criticism I could give this track is probably that I very often forget it exists. Yeah,
I think many people do. So
yeah.
yeah, I think you're not alone. Yeah.
I think it's probably not the best track to end the album. I
Okay.
really don't have an alternative ending. I don't really know what other track would fit, but I feel it's kind of. Monstrous Clock had this kind of cheery sing along chorus, and it's really cool. I liked how it ended with the choir, but this track I feel is way too low energy for me, especially at the ending. And I think the ending goes on for too long. You think
Yeah.
it's gonna end, and then it continues. During the choir part.
True. That's true.
Many
Yeah.
times I
Yeah.
thought, okay, I'm gonna lift the needle. Oh, it keeps going, like 30 seconds more. Um, so yeah, I think the chorus catchy, as many Ghost songs, but I feel the rest is kind of lackluster for me. So, but it's definitely not a bad track. I would
No.
say Spirit is way more strong for me. Majesty is still my least favorite, but right after Majesty, I would probably say Deus in Absentia. So yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So my honorable mention would probably be. Ooh, this is hard. Yeah, From the Pinnacle to the Pit.
Okay.
I didn't want to choose like Cerise or He Is because those are live staples and they are super, super popular. I wanted to choose something else. So, yeah, From the Pinnacle to the Pit, we talked about it before. Love it so much. I really like his vocals on that. You talked about that before.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so we talked about it before. Don't have too much to add, but yeah, I think From Pinnacle to the Pit is kind of underrated. There are many people that love it, obviously, but it could be overlooked on the album when you have classics like Absolution and He Is and Cerise and even Mummy Dust. So yeah.
True.
So
Okay.
that would be my pick. Now we have to talk about the elephant in the room. We have to talk about Zenith. I feel it's a crime that this wasn't included on the album. And actually, I said before I didn't have an alternative. On the actual songs on the album, the original album that's not expanded, I don't really have an alternative ending. But now that when I think about it, Zenith would have been a great ending for the album, I feel. I love the choir parts in it. I think it creates a really cool, atmospheric, epic feel. I feel like this track is one of the more epic songs that Ghost did. I think it's super, super epic. Like the piano in the beginning and his like soft vocals, and then it just ramps up in energy. And yeah, I think it has a good mix of everything. It has this really head banging part, you know what I'm talking about with the guitar. Da-da-da, da-da-da. I think that's really, really, really cool. And I think that's kind of similar to Zombie Queen, where I talked about before, the part where I really headbang to it. That part when that I think that and the part in Zenith are kind of similar in its structure. So I think that's really cool, and I love how the song ends. And yeah, I think it has a good mix of everything. This song, I think it's probably my in my top 5 actually. Ghost songs, Good Zombie Queen, Zenith, so far are tracks that actually made it up in my top 5 that we talked about up till now. So yeah, really, really love that song so much. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a song that deserves more light.
Yeah.
I think I'm not 100% sure on this, but it might have been a leftover from the Infestissumam era.
Mm-hmm.
Also, when you see the cover, you've got Papa Emeritus 2 on it, so it's not Papa 3. But sound-wise, it does fit in more into what is Meliora.
Yeah.
So I feel also it would be. Yeah, I mean, I do like the last track on Meliora, so I don't know, but it should be somewhere in the album.
Yeah.
And it's a shame that it's never been played live. There was speculation that they were going to play it during this tour. I don't think so. But yeah, it has so many great epic elements to make it such a great song. Even the heavy part actually reminds me. I think this is the closest that Ghost has sounded a bit like Rammstein in the heavy part, but it's a beautiful piece of music, and hopefully there is a way that it makes it to the live set at some point, because it's a single. It's not really a single, is it?
Yeah, it's only
It's
a
a
single
song
with a
that,
bop, but
yeah,
really, yeah.
yeah. It's a song that would have deserved more airplay, and I think it's become a fan favorite anyways, of how the people have been able to listen it for ages on YouTube, and then it finally came out on this Commandments best of on
Yeah.
Spotify. So yeah, I also agree with you that it's a song that just deserves more.
Yeah, I think it's very fascinating that it wasn't available to stream for the longest time.
Yeah,
It was just an upload on YouTube. And of course, the people that had the vinyl could play it, of course, but it wasn't readily available. And I know now on Tidal, which is the main streaming service I use, it's available on the expanded version of Meliora, which also has Pope Star on it. But yeah, and also it was available on expanded CD, right? I think Zenith.
Yes.
Yeah.
On the deluxe version. No, on the Redux version of Meliora.
Yeah. But on Spotify, I don't use it. So was it first available on that compilation you talked about?
Yes.
Yeah, that's incredible. that's mind blowing. That's just like a year or two ago or something. I think it was 2023 or something, maybe. That's very surprising that it wasn't available for the longest time.